Hello, hi all. Welcome to my channel. Today, the main topic is to discuss and do some practical programming on the Python language, where my major motto for this is I want to use a one programming language which uses at least 10 to 15 inbuilt functions so that we can learn through it practically. So for this, I am specifically using a specific tool called Collab1, which is inbuilt in the drive, in the Google Drive. Once you have the Google Drive, you can create it yourself. It's nothing hard. As a prerequisite, I'm expecting you already know about this Collab, and this is the screen how it looks like, and we can directly dive into the actual programming. So I'm just adding this code. I just want to print some statement which is called hello world to just see it is up and running. Okay, perfect. The thing is, I see it's printed this hello world to the console output, right? For this I may need two modules specifically, which is this inbuilt one which is called OS. I'm just trying to import this, right, which I'll use in the further stages. And the next one is import faker. Import this faker. It's coming from this, from faker thing. And this one is used to randomly generate the specific names which I want to use this in this current programming, right? For this, the basic modules will be enough. So I'll try to run this. In case if you don't have these modules up and running, the only thing you need to do for specifically for the faker is pip install, and you can run it as faker. Okay, currently I've already executed this. If you don't have this module available, you can just run this. For me, it said requirement already satisfied. That means I've already have this package. When I even run this particular cell, it doesn't raise any issues. And the first thing is I need to initialize this particular faker object to generate the fake data. For that, I can just go with the same name, the variable name, and I can go with this faker, right? Once it is there, I'll just try to run it. Now, my main intention was I need to generate a random names. For suppose the number of students I want to generate randomly, I'll just keep it as 10. 10 should be suffice for us testing. Now, I want to generate this. So for this, I have to use a list comprehension because I want to store all these names inside the list which has these names. And with the help of this faker, this will help me to create a generalistic names, and I'll try to loop this and store it in the particular list. Okay, that list name, I'll just try to give it as students. And if you remember, the particular object I want to use is fake dot name. Okay, this is a thing. But the main issue is I want to iterate this particular method 10 times, right? So that it will generate 10 different names. For that, I'll be just using a for loop, right? This is just a string which tries to have this loop go through it, and how many times I need to go through it, at least I need to go for 10 times. For that, I'll just write range of number of students. And my main motto of this line is I want to store this result. So each element, each number will go through it 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, totally 10 times, and it will try to execute this method to generate a random names. And my main thing was I want to store it in a list. So what I'll do, I'll just use this open and close square bracket. So what it happens, whatever the result that comes in the fake dot name on each iteration, it will try to store in this student variable, which is list, and in this list everything is string. So you can see here what it's populating out. So that's the basic thing. Now I'll just try to execute this to find out what is the result. Okay, now I'll just write print students. See, it has generated randomly 10 different names, right? Now, I want to use a function, right? A particular function that will help me to sort this on the ascending order, right? For that, what I can do, it's a simple one line thing. This is another particular method. You can easily use it. It's inbuilt one. So for that, if I want to use it, technically what I can do, I can just use this print sorted. There is a sorted one. If you see here, if you can click here, it will give you the clear details. What it does, returns a new list containing all items from the iterable in the ascending order. So I just want to do it in a ascending order. If you want to do the descending order, you can just do reverse is equal to false. That will work in the descending order. So let's test this. So I'll copy this same list variable and I'll try to run this. If you see, everything has been done into the ascending order. Now, this is done. One and the other one, the major thing, what I want to do the next thing is, I want to use this particular students list and I want to store it in a particular file. For that, let's prepare some code for it. So my basic thing is I need a file name, which I'll have this where is students.txt, right? Once you have this students.txt, I just want to use some module and try to open that file and write it whatever we have this particular student names, right? For that, I will use simply a thing called open method, which helps us to write, to open this file and write whatever the elements of list we are trying to pass it. It can go through that particular file dot write, and we can try to put this particular variable, list variable inside it. So it will write to this students.txt file. And how to do that? It is simple. So I'll go with open, and here I'll just write file name. It's already a variable, so I can go with file name. And here, if you remember, the file is new and there is a particular text mode. What it is, are we overwriting it, or we appending it, or we are inserting it? So this is the first time we are just writing it. I'll use this w is nothing but write, and this one is as a file object, right? And now I just want to write into this, and here I'll just go with file dot write. And what I want to pass it, I want to pass this particular students thing, right? But if you remember, the students is as a list, right? I want to convert this whole list into a particular string, right? For that, there is specifically another method where you can use join, right? I can use this join, and how I want to separate each list. So in the names, so if you see this name 1 and name 2, how do I want to separate it? I want to separate it with the slash n, so that whenever I'm trying to write this whole list as a string into the file, it will be separated by a new line. For example, I can show it here how it works. So if I copy this, okay, and if I try to print this here, see, currently you have this in a list. Now this join method will help me to convert this whole list into a string which is separated by a new line. So that's how you will have this different in lines. Each name is separated by slash n, that means a new line. So that's how you see it here. And that the same way we want to store that into this particular file name, right? Let me try to run this, then we would have this answer. Okay, so now this got executed. So if I go on the left side of this, you see this students dot text, right? I'll try to double click this and see. Each name is separated by a new line which is slash n, and if you see, there are totally 10 names, so it is in 10 different lines. This is how you will see this output, right? Now this is one of the thing. If you want to write something to the file quickly, you can use this with open and you can write it, right? This is the one. And if I want to print these names, there print anything, there are different ways. You can use this directly print statement, and there is another concept also called string interpolation. So what does that mean? I can use this f in the beginning and the double quotes. I can pass the string. So for example, I'll just go with students file saved in. And when I use this open and close flower bracket, I can pass a variable name. If you see here, a variable name. And whenever I'm trying to print this, if you see this variable name, whatever this is here, we passed it here inside this open and close bracket, and you see it displayed the value of that particular variable. This is how you can use it. Now, the other thing also, yes, you wrote something to the file, and there may be also a chance where you have to read the particular content of the file. So for this example, we will read the content from the same file which we have just created. For this also, I'll try to open the same way with open, and now that is the file name, right? And what I'll do here, the basic thing, before I've used as W, right? But here I want to read, so it is intuitive. I'll be using R, and now I'll be using converting into an object which is a file, and then I want to read the contents in the file. So for that, I'll just write contents as a variable name, and I'll go with file dot read. Okay, so what's happening? It reads all the contents of that file in a single string, right? If I just do enter, this is done. I'll try to print the contents first. Let me see how it got stored. See, the contents variable contains all the values that are in the file, which is stored in the one variable as a string. If I touch it here, you can see this, it is a string, right? The variable is string. And the other thing also, if I want to know the length of this particular uh, value variable, you can also use call something called length. See, it is counted to show that it has 148 characters, including the spaces and also the whatever the string you have. It easily counted. You have this 148 characters. Now, if you want whatever this contents, whatever you have it, or for suppose I have this particular list, right? If I go up slowly, there is this particular variable which is a list which stores this multiple names, right? My major requirement here is, if I want to loop through this particular list, it's not only looping through it, it has to also print the index number whenever it is going through this each loop. I have that particular requirement. Then for this, how I'm going to do it then. For this, I'll just use for, and basically from where I want to get this. So I want to basically get it from students variable, and for this we have a something method called enumerate, right? In this enumerate, I can put whatever the list I want to use it, and then if I want to start the index number from where it has to start, usually I'll even start with 0, I'll start with 1 here to just display you what it is. And now I want to have two variables. One is this index, and other one is to print that each value in the list, right? If you see, I'm using also this for loop to loop through each element, and for that I just need to have colon at the end. And once you have this, you have to also follow this indentation. And now if I see this, if I do just this print index comma student, see, it printed this index number and also this particular names in that list, right? This is how you usually get it. Now, if I want to find and print the last student name alphabetically, right? Let's see how I can do that. Usually, if I just use max of, I'll just go with the print. See, it has printed this last name in that list. Each element in this list, if you want to do the uppercase here, without using this for loop going through this each value one by one, each element one by one. I just want to use something called map, where if I use that, what it will try to do it is, it will try to pass a specific function to all the elements and the list, right? And it will try to execute that, right? For example, I'll just go with uppercase students, right? In this uppercase students, I'll just have two things. What I want to do, I want to do this string upper, right? For which list I want to do that, the list name is students. Okay, I'll just remove this. Okay, in this I have this particular method and also to which I want to execute it. Now for this, to implement this particular method to all of the elements in the list, I'll be using a thing called map, right? Once I use that map, then the final product, it should be still be a list. Should be stored as in a list. And when, if I run this particular thing, it got executed. Let us see what happened. See, whatever the values are in that particular list, the elements in that list are converted into this uppercase, right? And sometimes you may also have a request, you have a particular file and you want to delete this file. So here is that place where I will be using a module called OS and a method in that module called remove, right? So to delete that specific thing, what I'll do, I'll just use os.remove. Okay, in this os.remove, I'll just have that file name students.txt, which you see on the left hand side, right? I'll just try to remove this. If I run this and if I refresh this, see, this is gone. So this is the another method where you can delete this. So using this one programmable idea where you can create these names using a particular module, the random generator, you can use it even to test some data, you can generate these random names and several other things. You're trying to create a file and store these elements inside the list into the file. You're trying to read the file and trying to print that contents. And if you want to loop through this particular list, including having that index number printed out, you can use this enumerate. And even to print the last element max and the last but not one element the min, you can use it several things like this. And also, if you want to do the uppercase, right, of this particular list, all the elements in the list you want to convert into the uppercase, you can just use what function you want to run it, what method, and also on what list. Once you have that, if you want to execute through every element, you will be using a map function. So it is an iterator. I'll just read this out so that we'll have a clear thing. Make an iterator that computes the function using the arguments from each of the iterables. So what does this mean? So whatever the method you have it, if you want to execute this particular method to all the elements in that list, you can just use this map. It will work as an iterator, right? And then the final product, still it should be stored as an list, right? So it will try to put that all that final generated iterated strings in the list. And to just remove this particular file which already existed, you can just use this os.remove and the file name, so it will delete. For the today's class, this is what we can learn simply, different methods using this example. We will see you with the new examples in the coming days. Thank you.